Hello, and welcome to a broadcast produced by Friends of Terry Virgil. I'm Terry Virgil, your host, and today's episode is The Right to Refuse. As we could see it in the news, and it's kind of covered up in the news, it's not really talked about today as a headline, but there is one thing that people got to understand. According to our constitutional rights underneath the First Amendment, people have the right to refuse. And they have the right to refuse on the basis of religious freedom and rights, and based on if they don't want a certain ethnic group or a cult group in their area. They have the right to refuse that. Now, how can I say that if I like freedom and liberty? Here's the point. When you look at what the Democrats / liberals / communists / socialists, people like Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders are saying is, it's wrong to refuse. It's called discrimination. Now, this has been drawn in the sand several times, a line where you have to really look at what the real discrimination is. I'm going to tell you a little fact and a little honesty here. Matter of fact, I got the integrity to do it. When I was looking for a job in the legal field, I ran across an opportunity to work in the Wisconsin Court of Appeals. There was a judge that did the interviewing. This judge was a liberal judge by the name of Kloppenberg. And she told me that I'm not going to get the job because I'm a white male. She also told me I'm not getting the job because I'm a veteran. Well, okay, I could live with the white male and veteran part because it's true, America, and that's kind of where I get the idea where America hates its vets. Now, let's put it this way. I was refused a job because they wanted a woman. Okay, I have no problem with that idea. If you want a woman to work in a certain job, then hire a woman that's qualified. I found out that they didn't hire a woman that was qualified. They just hired a woman that was number one, a sexually immoral person, and who loves the lifestyle of the sexually immorality. That's what they wanted. In other words, a person like me has no chance to get a job. Discrimination can fall in two different areas. Here's the other thing, too, that liberals like to holler about discrimination. They like to holler about the fact that we have a constitutional amendment, and the constitutional amendment says that we cannot refuse anybody based on race, sexual orientation, if you want to use gender, that's fine, or even creed, or aging, or anything like that. Well, I happen to be a little bit older than most of you. Some of you are older than I am, and I'm also work in a wheelchair too, so I'm disabled in that respect, and that's because of an automobile accident, nothing that happened in the military. So we'll use that right there. But the thing of it is, when we look at the right to refuse, when a judge tells you that she has the right to refuse because you do not believe in immorality, sexual immorality, and the sexual immorality of lifestyle, that should give you a red flag that judge does not care about human rights or even cares about person's right to work or anything like that. That tells you that that judge hates men, white males especially, disabled veterans. I am a disabled veteran too, and a person with a disability, and the elderly. Even though this judge is older than I am, it doesn't matter. Here's the thing of it is, when you look at the right to refuse somebody, and now the liberals and Democrats are saying that you can't refuse anybody, I'm beginning to wonder, and I'd like to ask those idiots a question. Why was I refused? Why am I being downcast? I remember something that happened to me in believe it or not, in the 1960s that sticks with my mind as of today. The feminist made something and were demanding that I do something. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but unless you ask me on the privacy of side where there's not going to be any interview or anything like that, I'm not going to tell you. But anyways, the right to refuse. Now, as I can read and remember, and I wrote it in my book, it had to deal with freedom and liberty. Freedom and liberty is a choice and a unalienable right that was given to us by God. I wrote one full chapter, matter of fact, chapter 1, if you really want to get interested, and if you ever purchase it and read about it. I put in there about different ideas about freedom and liberty. And what I can see in today's society with the liberals and Democrats, communists, and socialists saying, wait a second here. We have a minority of people that are less than 1% of the population that say you can't refuse somebody based on their sexual orientation. In other words, same-sex marriage. I would beg the difference here. Because God teaches us one thing. That's sexually immorality. That's sexually immoral. And seeing that I may have to be forced to go to my place of worship, church, to worship God, and have a person that says, we have the right to come in and disrupt the church service because you believe that a person has to be moral, and you believe in traditional marriage between one man and one woman only, which is true. Now, the right to refuse to allow that person to come into a private building of worship where people worship God together. They have the same faith. They have the same doctrine. And they say they have the right to come in and disrupt. And say, we're homophobics, we're bigots and everything like that. You know who the real bigot is? Those who say you can't have because you disagree with us. You disagree with the liberal idea. You disagree with the Democrats. You disagree with the communists and the socialists such as Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. You disagree with the principles that this nation was founded on of freedom and liberty. Correction, I made a mistake there. They disagree with freedom and liberty, which this nation was founded on. A true doctrine. A doctrine of faith. Let's put it this way. If I owned a store and this was a bakery and same-sex couple came to me and said they would like me to bake them a wedding cake, and it's against my doctrine where I go to church to do so, the right to refuse is a very good thing. It doesn't matter. You could boycott me all you want. You could try to put me out of business. But here's the thing. I have that right to refuse. It's private. That's private property. That's a private business. Thus, the same thing. A church, believe it or not, would have the same rights to refuse as well. Because here's why. You don't have the right to get married in a church, such as where I go to, if you're against church doctrine. Church doctrine comes from the scriptures. So the church has the right to refuse. They also have the right to refuse you to enter into that church. That's private property. That is a membership where members go together that want to worship together. You have no right to disrupt. You have no right to say, well, and go to court and say and sue because this church refused you. You have no right to do that, because here's why. You're taking away someone else's unalienable and civil rights to refuse. Let's put it this way. When you refuse people like me that are a white male, elderly white male, some would call, I'm not elderly, but by far, let's put it this way. 60 is close to my real age. I'm not going to tell you what it really is. But also, I'm sitting in a wheelchair. I'm talking to you. I'm also talking to you about one other thing, too. Freedom and liberty. Freedom and liberty is a God-given right to refuse. To say that we have to do something is not freedom and liberty. It's not a choice. It's not the right to choose. You see, those who believe in being sexually immoral and absolutely are believing in the lifestyle of the sexually immorality, and that includes bestiality and incest, because they agree that bestiality and incest should be illegal. Those who display on Facebook the colors of the sexually immoral and the lifestyle of the sexually immorality are offenders. And I absolutely have the right to refuse to agree with you. But I'm going to keep you there because I want to show the world just how bad you are. I also have something else too that's on my side. The Greeks have a word called agape. Agape is a friendship love. It's a love that will surpass all human understanding. It means that, yes, I like you as a human being. No, I do not like your point of view. And I'm going to refuse you because of your point of view. Let's say, for example, a person like that ran for president of the United States of America. You will not get my vote because you believe in immorality and the immorality lifestyle. And you believe that the right to refuse is wrong. Well, the right to refuse is not wrong. It's a choice. It's a choice that we have the right to do, to choose. Remember, I've always used the